Kimberly Dvorak. Kimberly, we're talking about the cargo ship that Iran has essentially seized in what many people consider more or less international channels, international waters, if you will. What's the latest on this cargo ship, which currently has about 5,400 containers on it? What do we know? What's the status?
The status right now is they're trying to work out a deal between the government of Iran, who is offering their support to a local Iranian businessman who claims that he is owed a substantial amount of money because there were a few container ships back in 2005 that went missing and he never got delivery of the actual cargo.
So this goes back 10 years then,
yes.
Probably. Is this any kind of, nothing happens in a vacuum, especially in the region of the Middle East. Is this possibly some sort of retribution for the United States sending warships off of Yemen and scaring off the Iranian ship?
Yeah. Well, if they were truly after the money that they're seeking, they would have most likely just filed a complaint in Antwerp, Belgium, where the maritime community would have reached out to whomever owes the money to this particular cargo, and they would have actually solved the situation. And it's a strange and highly unlikely instance where you would actually seize a ship like this. And one thing to keep in mind is those ships, they all have cargo on board, and they all have contracts with the companies that send that cargo. So much like when you get on an airplane or you have a ticket to get on an airplane and they bump you or they have to cancel the flight, they pay for your hotel at their expense, you're looking at the container ship here, and they're paying exorbitant amount of fees every day that ship sits in the port.
Okay, so the ownership, the flag of the ship, that we've heard various stories that it seems to be a moving target. Who owns this ship, and what is the flag it's under, and what do we know about that?
Okay, now this is a curious point, because when we first learned that the ship had been seized, you go on to Vessel Finder, and there's particular websites to see where you can chart where the ship had stopped, what ports of entry, the time. And the ship originally, last week, it was managed by Rick Maersk. It was run through Maersk, and then it was owned by a Wide Gulf Limited corporation, which is based out of Korea, which is where this ship was manufactured. This ship was manufactured and put in the water 2014, so December, so a few months ago. It's a relatively new ship.
Right. And
in their press release, they said that Rick Maersk said, this is a third-party leased-out ship, so we really don't know what's going on. As the week progressed, of course, when you start looking into it and you start making phone calls, the ship was actually owned by a company called Oak Tree Capital, which is, a capital firm like you would think, hedge funds and things of that nature.
Right.
And that's, they have offices all over the world. They refused to reply to any requests that I made to them.
Is that a U.S. company?
No, it's not based in the U.S., but they do have offices in Los Angeles, so they are located in the U.S. as well. And so why the change in ownership from one company to the next over a couple-day period? And then in another, measure to thwart getting any kind of media information out, they hired a crisis management firm, and that firm has now taken control and offering absolutely no information as to what's going on. And to that effect, you would think that the company who has this ship, who is going to be spending a substantial amount of money with this thing sitting in harbor day by day by day to angry contracts, you would think that they'd be screaming up and down and everywhere. And right now, nobody's screaming about why the ship is being held there.
It is quiet. And you have to look at this in the context, of course, at least I do, of the Iran nuke deal. And if Iran, at this moment in time, is kind of sticking a finger in the eye of the United States and saying, hey, back off a little bit, we're still this crazy rogue nation, and nothing is in ink. And to me, not only is this a warning shot, but it's also a reminder with whom John Kerry and Barack Obama are dealing. And that's an important factor, too. But in the end, since Iran has this ship under its control right now, are they going to find what they are looking for one way or another? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Well, there are reports too. I mean, there are a lot of containers on there, so they pulled. I mean, there's ships that fly under the Maersk line, monthly that go through there. Why this ship? Why is this the one they targeted? And there are a couple different theories behind that. They obviously want something that's on this ship. And who knows what that may be. It could be weapons, because we told Iran to stay out of the Yemen conflict and don't send weapons there. Well, they may have thought that there were weapons on this particular ship. They've got spies that work in Saudi Arabia and other Middle Eastern countries where this actual ship stopped and ported. And they could have called up their buddy over in Iran and said, hey, you might want to look at the cargo on this, because I think we saw some stuff that is not supposed to be shipped.
But the bottom line is they're going to find what they're looking for, whether there are weapons on board or they plant them themselves, correct?
Exactly. And if they put something in there, they'll use this as leverage against the United States, and that may twist the arm of the president and John Kerry to say, okay, well, we're going to have to make this deal, because now, look, oh boy, we're going to avert a international crisis, and what better way to make headlines than the U.S. or Israel is shipping weapons over to the Middle East.
It's astounding, because they'll use this as leverage, yet we're not using ICBMs or the 4 Americans that are being held hostage in Iran right now as any kind of leverage. It just reminds me, the question is, why in the world are we trying to negotiate with terrorists? Out of time, Kim. Thanks.
Thanks.
Coming up.